Well, hello there, humans, zombies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough to be doing it too, I'm Bushka on Blitz. Welcome back to channel. Lots of fun, lots of frivolity, lots of stuff going on today on the channel. We had a tech tree stream for T57 Heavy Line. It was really good fun. And now I'm going to do a video on the Centurion 1. Now, I've got to put this out there really, really early on. I love this tank, and it's one of the most classically underrated tanks for all the normal reasons that tanks get underrated in Blitz. Mostly it doesn't appeal to just a straight up, I just got the game, I want a gun that does the biggest number I can possibly put into it, and a tank that bounces the most shots. It doesn't fall into either of those categories. Although sneakily enough, you can bounce a lot of shots in it. But it's this beautiful synergy between gun depression, penetration, accuracy, and a really funky armor profile. Now I'm going to run through why it works. I'm going to run through the things you've got to watch out for while you're driving it and the things you should be looking to do while you're driving against it. Now, firstly, the penetration numbers. I want to get this off my chest real early. This is the best pen gun on a tier 8 medium in the game. And that is out of 16 other possible tier 8 mediums. Cent 1s, 59s, 34 and 2s, AMX CDCs, FCM 50T, Panther 2, Indian, Panther Mid 8.8, L71s, STA 1, 047, 26 Pershing, 26 E4 Super Pershing, the T69, the 44, the 4100, the 54 first prototype. All these tanks don't have as good a penetration numbers as this tank. It also has 10 degrees of gun depression. It also has a very, very accurate weapon. You've got like just under 300, right? 0.300, 0.299, whatever. And you can see here, I am able to absolutely punish that SU-152 who had the temerity to shoot at me because the gun is a Spitfire. It's got the fastest rate of fire at any gun at this tier. And you say, yeah, but that's because it's only got 190 alpha, which is true. But that doesn't matter. What matters with this tank is using your brain and putting it in a position to be successful. Like this area here on Black Goldville, where you need gun depression and, I mean, look at the shots it's hitting. One after another. Now, I want to discuss, again, I've discussed it before, but this is really important with this tank, effective damage per minute, or effective damage output, just for getting the damage per minute numbers. It's only got a 190 alpha gun, so it's got to spend a lot of time on target because it's firing 15 rounds a bloody minute plus to actually get the job done. So you're thinking, well, it's got no armor, it's going to get exposed and it's going to be terrible. But you'd be wrong. And you'd be wrong because gun depression works in mysterious ways. When you are above a target and you are depressing the gun down, the armor on the front of this turret becomes absolutely superb. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works in Armor Inspector in a sec. But effective DPM means because you have such massive penetration, you never really need to use much in the way of premium ammunition. And because you have gun depression, you're never really in a situation where you can't get a shot in. And because you have fantastic penetration, those shots just go. And because it's accurate, you know, they don't miss much. So your effective number that you're always able to bring to bear is really, really alarmingly good. So look at that. You've got a 165 millimeter primary armor socket behind that mantlet. That's your primary armor, 165 millimeters. And there's actually another section of that there. So then you go to your spaced armor, right? And you can see that's your tracks and everything. Not much armor on the side. I think it's like 40 millimeters, 50 millimeters, whatever. The spaced armor behind the gun mantlet is 200 millimeters in the middle, and it's another 100 millimeter either side of that, but it's also sloped and rolling backwards. So you put those two things together, as well as the fact that it is spaced armor, so heat in that isn't such an issue, and you suddenly have areas on the gun where you can get 200 millimeters, 250 millimeters of plate. That's fine, right? But then you take it one step further. I'm going to show you why this is so key. If you actually get this thing hull down, it works a treat. Now let's cut to the chase here. I'll go to the penetration values on this, and that's where you can see green is where you're going to get penned, and red is where you're likely to bounce. And that doesn't look that special, that turret, does it? It doesn't look special at all. Go on a slight rise, please, PC, and then start looking down and look at all the red. 407, 200, 368, 598, 500. Areas of it are as low as 200. Areas of it are as high as 800. And that means that as long as you're moving backward and forward really quickly in a hull down situation, you have a superb ability to output damage without taking damage back. And that is where this gun works. If you are brawling people frontally, you are going to get 100% wrecked, and deservedly so, because frontally, this tank is a pile of poop tickets. What do I mean by a pile of poop tickets? Exactly what it sounds like. It is like used toilet paper. Its armor profile is so bloody horrible that you won't be able to do jack all with it. It can also permatrack without adrenaline, but when you get onto adrenaline and your reload goes down to 4.1 seconds, it's like you are going through people burning kits like no tomorrow. You can permatrack absolutely bloody everything. And I'm going to show you some really funky games that I had in this tank. Really, really cool games. And nearly all of them are me just brutalizing teams by using gun depression and this armor profile and this gun's beautiful, beautiful nature. So you're looking at a tank that has very, very low DPM in terms of very, very low alpha damage, but has absolutely outstanding penetration and gun handling. Now, the damage per minute numbers is right around the top of its class. It's within 6% of the AMX CDC, which is the best in terms of Tier 8 mediums. And Tier 8 mediums are not renowned for their DPM. Tier 7 is where the mediums really peak out, and they drop again for Tier 8 and become all kinds of gun depression, low alpha tanks. It's just the way the game goes. But at the same time, they get a lot of other stuff going on that makes them work, namely like this armor profile and the nuance of the tank. The penetration numbers are just crazy. Those penetration numbers allow you to just fire nothing but AP. Even in Tier 9 games, you're going to see me stick mostly to AP. What is that number? 226 millimeters of penetration. 226 with a gun that is .299 accuracy is all kinds of joy and fun. And when they put you to the test and they actually start pushing in on you, and you get shots in the sides and the flanks, hull down like this, you can reap the wind. The reason a lot of tanks don't pay attention to this kind of a tank, this kind of a damage output, is because it is such a low-end alpha. They'll get hit once by a tank with a 120mm gun and be like, oh no, I've got to keep looking at that tank that's hit me for 400. That's where the danger is. And they'll ignore the tank that is not going to miss a shot and is going to be doing it at 190 alpha every single bloody time, every 4.1 seconds on adrenaline. And you can see here, I am just non-stop poking out, and lashings of damage are my reward. At one point, I'm like, my thumb is so sore from moving in and popping and doing everything that I just start swinging around aimlessly with thumb fatigue. No, I'm just joking. I thought there was someone behind me. And so I'm back again, shooting down in that E75, backing up. Gun depression, 10 degrees, strong turret, great gun, accurate weapon. It'll work every single day of the week. The other knock on the Cent is that its mobility is not good. And that's not true. It's not true at all. In fact, if you've ever played the Carnarvon, you'd know what I'm talking about, because the Carnarvon has exactly the same gun as this, but with a higher output of damage. And you can see, thumb sore. Because I just didn't, that game went for nothing, right? And we did 3K, and we did it, how long did the game go for? It was not very bloody long at all. Yeah, 2 minutes, 19 seconds. So much for Tier 9. Now, the Carnarvon, if you've ever played it, you'd know that it's the same gun, but higher DPM, and it's the Tier 9 variant of this gun. But it's not very mobile. The Cent will hit 40 kilometers pretty regularly, and not only will it hit 40 kilometers, it'll get there on a flat surface pretty quickly. And that's important because it's just enough mobility for this thing to get around and put the hurt on some of the other nasties. I love the way they design these maps. I really do. Like that little area there, you can't quite get a shot through to that other corner. I mean, there's a lot of thought goes into these things. Look at the gun. Look at the work. And even when you're down in trouble and the situation looks absolutely dire, and you can see we're bleeding tanks here, it starts just working and dragging the numbers back one little shot at a time. You can see the IS-6 here. He'd love to get stuck in. I'm just keeping myself under his gun because whatever happens, he doesn't have a whole lot of gun depression, and I'm able to regularly shove my turret in front of that IS-6, and I haven't missed a shot. Like the The ability of this tank to just keep hitting shots, never miss a shot, keep hitting shots is freaking amazing. And it's so rewarding to drive this thing, put yourself in a good situation, and watch the fruits of your labour just blossom. This poor old SU-152, I mean, we really have pushed into this flank and completely dominated. It's now 3-on-5. We're going to make it 3-on-3 after the KV-13 takes out the other 152. And then there's a T-44 going to push around. And again, I'm just going to stick with AP. He's got less DPM than me, if only slightly. But he certainly doesn't have my penetration numbers. And he makes the mistake of going for another tank, which is just crazy. I'm by far the bigger damage here. And he can't get the gun down over the back to get a shot anywhere else but my turret. And that gives him massive issues. So he then tries to run over the other side. And I'm like, happy days, guys. Let's do this. Let's see who wants to come over this hill first and face a gun that can fire every 4.9 seconds. Because I will perma-track you where you stand. This is the Lerva as well over there. You've got to think of this thing as a pure hull-down tank with the ability to quite literally just paper cut the hit points out of the other team. It is, as they say in the classics, death by 1,000 cuts. Let's have a look at the stats after this particular game, and I'll show you, I think it's 20 shots fired, maybe? 20 shots fired. Game went for 4 minutes, and we really didn't get into it for the first minute and a half. 3,606 damage, and we fired, 22 shots fired for 21 hits and 21 penetrations. There are not many guns that reliable, especially not at tier 8. Most people will run a 54 mod 1 or a T44 or something like that. And one of the reasons I particularly love this tank is you run into so many mod 1s. You run into so many IS-3 defenders, IS-5s, tanks that are very Russian and derpy, and yet your gun has absolutely no problems. This is one of the few guns. Guns like this, and the gun on the Carnarvon, there's some of the tanks that just don't stress about those tanks because you can chew them up, both in terms of your damage output and in terms of your penetration numbers. If you get this thing hull down and there's a bunch of IS-3 defenders and they're any kind of distance away from you, every single step they take towards you is going to cost them an arm and a leg. Now, I can't be responsible for people that drive this thing like it is a T-44 or a Type 59 or a Mod 1. If they push in on this tank and they go front to front, you're going to die. Because the lower glacis, I mean, it can be penned with bad intentions. It's not at all going to stop a bullet or a round, or even some HE shells, I guess. It can get you in the date, the back door, as I say in the classics, or parts of your side armour. In fact, if you aim just above the wheels, you can sometimes pen this thing with HE in various spots, much like you can with the Carnarvon. And it's the same turret as the Carnarvon. You're looking at the same kind of turret. So positional play is absolutely everything. If you are going to take this tank out and you're going to listen to the slings and arrows of the guys on your team who are going, spot for me, or attack, or move, or come on noob, flank, or whatever, or, don't listen to them. Find a good position for this tank. Move from good position to good position. I went and pushed this flank. I put some shots in the sides of their TDs, moved the rest of them, but the red team worked as a unit. And they found the guy we had on our team sitting in the back corner, and they dusted him up. And we've got two guys still sitting in the castle, and another STA1. This isn't particularly because everyone's played badly. We've just been caught out of position. Our 152 was probably a little bit out of position, and our T29 got isolated, and he's not happy about it, but whatever, you can't change that. Sometimes their team makes good decisions, good choices, and your team doesn't. And that's all there is to it. Like, the 152 was absolutely 100% on his own. The T29, he only had a 152 for friendly support, and he was dead already. So we've now got a really tough road to hoe. We're 3 tanks down. We're the only tier 8 tank left on our team, and they have yet to lose a single vehicle. Now, we do have a couple of bad moments here with this VK. Just inexplicably bouncing pretty much everything I throw at him, which is kind of frustrating. After the tank has performed so well thus far, you've got to give it a bit of time off for good behaviour. We get that one in there, back it up. We don't have the hit points. Again, it just hits that front upper glacis as he reverses. You get that on the big jobs. We're now 3 on 7, which is worse than 4 on 7, in case you're wondering. And things look pretty damn bad. We get one back. Happy days. We're going to get the VK back in a sec, we hope. Oh, no, he backs up. Oh, we get one more into him. Goes 7 more than average, but he's only 72 hit points. So there's actually a few low hit point tanks around here. So we are a chance. We're now 2 on 5. It's just me and the IS. And I'm going to show you the gun just singing here. That T29 is hull down to the IS, but he is not hull down to me. And we are able to constantly put those shots in. He's like, seriously? Seriously? And he backs up again. He thinks he'll come up. We're still waiting for him to make another error. There's a tiny little margin there under the turret, in the turret ring between that and the tracks. We hit it again, and we've got him now down to 2 on 5. Now we're going to leave that T29 there because he's not giving us shots, and the last thing we can afford is to have 2 or 3 tanks push up behind us and just basically get free shots on us. So we're full health, and we're going hunting for these TDs that are moving over here, particularly the Borsig. The Borsig is a big worry. There's that VK. Yeah, we bounce him again. Just happy days, but by the same token, bounced a kill shot on him, but did in fact get a shot bounced by the Borsig. Thank you very, very much, big bad turret. Finally, we take a shot. Happy to give up 300 just to clear that guy. And I don't know if you were noticing there, but our IS went down there, and it was actually 1 on 5 for a split second. So things were looking pretty grim. Now here's the Borsig. Going to make him come down. So we take one on the side, drop the adrenaline, and this is where we are going to use the Jag Panther here. We're going to make sure that he can't get shots on us. We're going to go side by side to him and get the Borsig, and then use him to keep us between him and this type over there. But the type's trying to get a shot in. Now he's run into the water there. He is absolutely no great shakes to get that gun around, and he's going to try and get around here, and he's going to track me. Brutal, but we get the Jag, and then he drowns. So suddenly, from 1 on 5, we are back in with a chance. Now that, I got to say, was a pretty freaking awesome brawl. And I can't resist saying ahoy all, because I'm like, yeah, how about them apples? Flexing up. What do you think of them apples? And then I'm barneying up here, because obviously I don't want to have to take a shot from this T29. Now, if he wants to come up here, I'm willing to chance my arm. He's 2 shots, so I'm happy to go to APCR and absolutely make sure we get him down to a 1 shot. And then we've got 40 seconds left, so we just missed that hat shot. Would have been lovely. But we don't, what we really don't want to have happen here is end up it gets to 10 seconds or something like that, and he is backing away. Because the way I like to play is if they have actually moved the map, I will not draw. I will always push. I will always have a crack. And the T29 has driven all over creation, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt. And either way, we are going to have a crack here. And the scent's done really well here. It's showed it's mobile enough. All we're going to do now is get one more hatch shot in. It's got the pen. Doesn't need to go to APCR. Bang. There we go. 4 kills. 5 tank Kolobanov, all, you know, one of them managed to drown himself, 3,183 damage, but he was, I mean, it was drown himself or basically not get a shot in, and he went for the shot. Just, I managed to get very, very lucky on the RNG. That's Ascent 1. Hell of a tank, hell of a good tank, something I enjoy playing immensely. Do not be put off. Find your hull down positions and move to them, and until then, try not to be spotted. Absolutely fire from hull down and move backwards and forwards and bounce those shots like a good scent driver would. Love your work, guys. Look after yourselves and stay safe on the battlefield.